A group of researchers once set out to the African jungle to monitor a baboon's eating habits for over a month. They meticulously recorded everything this baboon was eating for 1 month. They were startled to discover that after 1 month, it didn't matter what the baboon ate or every day, the baboon ate the exact same ratio of foods, protein, carbs, and fats. It did this without being a nutritionist. It did this with no guidance. It did this instinctively. It knew how much protein, carbs, and fats to eat every day. And remember, it had 90 different types of food, and yet it could manage this equation. And they had wondered, could only animals do this? So they went to the insect world. They started to monitor the cockroach, the locusts, the spiders, kept it in a controlled environment where they would feed it protein, carbs, and fat, and thereby measuring it every day. And it too came to the same conclusion. The insects also knew how to balance their protein intake, carbs, and fats. It remained consistent. It didn't matter which insect it was. They basically ate the right ratio of protein, carbs, and fats every day. So the question then begs, what about us? Do we humans have that same ability? And the answer is yes. We've been meticulously recording our dietary habits for the past 100 years. On average, the adult human consumes roughly 20% of all its calories from protein. We've been doing this for 100 years, so we have the data to support this. But the researchers wondered, what would happen if you controlled this environment? What would change? So they went and did this. They rented a large villa in the Swiss Alps. They put 100 people into the villa. On the first 2 days, they gave them a huge buffet of anything they could eat, as long as they recorded what they ate. After 2 days, just like the insects and just like the baboon, they were all eating roughly the same ratio of foods, protein, carbs, and fats. And again, these were just ordinary people. They weren't experts at all. So then they decided to split the group into two. One side, they made sure that they get lots of good, high-quality protein, a little bit of vegetables, a little bit of fruit. And the other side was only protein source they could get was directly from carbohydrates. After 4 days of this, they entered the data, and they actually found out that the people who were eating high-quality protein ended up eating 35% less calories. On the other hand, the group that had no good protein source ended up eating 38% more calories. So they continued to eat carbohydrates until their protein intake was met. So that's quite startling. Now, since 1961 to 2000, we've also noticed something that's alarming as well. From 1961 to the year 2000, on average, we started eating 20% of our calories from protein. It is now reduced down to 12. But from the year 2000 to 2013, we've also seen a rapid increase in obesity, which then leads to heart attacks and strokes. So we were consuming less protein, but we're consuming more carbohydrates to find that protein. So on average, we were starting to consume more and more calories as our protein content decreased. So this is something worth thinking about. So if you are on a mission of trying to lose weight, but you struggle to do this, just maybe the protein source that you have is either inadequate or of poor quality. And it's the appetite that drives you to keep looking for it. So you may think that, oh, it's the carbohydrates. I'm always eating carbohydrates. I get hungry quite often after carbohydrates. Maybe you're looking for a protein source because the one that you have is inadequate. So you continue to look for it by continuously eating. And quite often we also found that people who are on low protein sources end up snacking throughout the day. And again, it is this appetite, this drive to get that ratio of protein into you. Because you have to remember, protein is the most important macronutrient. It's the first importance. Without protein, you cannot make nitrogen. Without nitrogen, you cannot make reproduction organs. And all species wants to reproduce. This is why protein is so important. And if insects, baboons, and even us have the ability to learn or know that how much protein we consume, just maybe your protein intake is of poor quality or just insufficient. Something worth thinking about.